The rain had been falling for hours, soaking the dirt road until it looked like a black river crawling through Hollow Creek. Sheriff Cal Marin drove slow, wipers smearing streaks of mud across the windshield. Beside him, Ranger, his black and tan German shepherd, sat alert, eyes fixed on the darkness outside. They'd been partners for 3 years, bound by silence and survival. Cal didn't talk much, and Ranger didn't need words. Then, just beyond the bend, Ranger's ears twitched. He let out a low growl, the kind he made when something wasn't right. Cal eased the cruiser to a stop. Headlights cut through the rain, and there she was, a girl, barefoot, blood on her arms. Her eyes found us through the downpour, full of terror, and when her lips parted, her voice came like a ghost through the storm. "They're still there." The rain had been falling for hours, soaking the dirt road until it looked like a black river crawling through Hollow Creek. Sheriff Cal Marin drove slow, wipers smearing streaks of mud across the windshield. Beside him, Ranger, his black and tan German shepherd, sat alert, eyes fixed on the darkness outside. They'd been partners for 3 years, bound by silence and survival. Cal didn't talk much, and Ranger didn't need words. Then, just beyond the bend, Ranger's ears twitched. He let out a low growl, the kind he made when something wasn't right. Cal eased the cruiser to a stop. Headlights cut through the rain, and there she was, a girl, barefoot, blood on her arms. Her eyes found us through the downpour, full of terror, and when her lips parted, her voice came like a ghost through the storm. "They're still there." Chapter 1, The Road and the Girl. Rain hammered the patrol car's roof like desperate fingers. Cal stepped out, boots sinking into the mud. Ranger jumped beside him, tail stiff, nostrils flaring against the scent of wet earth and something else. Iron, fear, blood. "Easy, boy," Cal muttered, but his hand hovered near the holster. He'd seen that look before. Ranger didn't spook easy. The girl stood motionless, trembling under the rain. Maybe 16, maybe younger. Her hair was plastered to her face, her skin pale under the flashing red lights. Cal crouched down, holding his voice steady. "Hey, sweetheart, you hurt." She blinked, dazed, like she was waking from a nightmare. They were screaming. I ran. I couldn't. Her words broke off into sobs. Ranger moved closer, sniffing at the torn hem of her dress. Then he growled again, low warning. Cal turned his flashlight down the road. Nothing but fog and pine shadows. Yet something in the trees moved, slow, deliberate. He stood, body tense. Ranger heel. The dog obeyed, but his ears stayed forward, eyes fixed on the dark. "Let's get you to town," Cal said to the girl, wrapping his coat around her. "We'll figure this out, all right?" But as he led her toward the cruiser, she whispered again, almost to herself. "They'll come for me." Cal paused. "Who?" She didn't answer, just shivered. Inside the car, the heater coughed warm air. Cal radioed dispatch, voice steady despite the unease crawling up his neck. "This is Sheriff Marin. Found a female mid-teens, injured. Need paramedics at station." As the radio crackled back, Ranger whined softly, pawing at the window. Cal frowned. "What is it, boy?" The dog pressed his nose to the glass, staring out at the rain-drenched road. A set of faint headlights flickered in the distance, too far to see clearly, but closing in. Cal's pulse jumped. He turned the engine over, but the girl grabbed his arm. Her grip was ice cold. "They'll kill me if they find me," she said. "You don't understand. You can't let them see me." "Who, damn it?" Cal snapped. She looked at him then, really looked, and whispered a name that didn't belong in Hollow Creek. A name tied to men Cal had worked beside. The kind of name that could ruin a sheriff. Before he could speak, Ranger barked loud, once sharp, then leapt toward the door, snarling. The headlights behind them had vanished. Only darkness remained. And in that moment, Cal Marin knew whatever this girl had run from wasn't done yet. It was coming. The Hollow Creek Sheriff Station smelled like rain-soaked uniforms and burnt coffee. Fluorescent lights buzzed overhead as Cal guided the girl into the small medical room. Deputy Harris glanced up from his desk, brow furrowed. "Hell happened out there?" Found her near County Road 17, Cal said, peeling off his wet jacket. Injured. Shocked. Claims others are still out there. Ranger paced near the doorway, restless, tail stiff, eyes on the girl. Harris stood, muttering, "This town doesn't need another story for news." Cal didn't reply. He knelt beside the girl as the medic cleaned a deep gash on her leg. She flinched but stayed silent. "What's your name?" Cal asked softly. Her voice barely carried. "Lila." "All right, Lila. You said they're still there. Who are they?" She hesitated, eyes darting toward the window. Outside, thunder rolled across the hills. "Men," she whispered. "They lived near the quarry. They said they owned us." Cal's jaw tightened. "Us?" Lila nodded once. There were others, girls, locked in the tunnels. Ranger's ears pricked. He gave a low growl, the kind he used when catching a familiar scent. Cal noticed. "You smell something, boy." Ranger circled the room, sniffing at Lila's torn sleeve. Then he stopped, rigid, his muzzle pointed toward the doorway. Harris frowned. "What's wrong with him?" Before Cal could answer, the station lights flickered once, twice, then steadied. A storm gust howled against the windows. Cal rose. "Harris, get patrol on standby. I'm checking the quarry." Harris shook his head. "You're running on fumes, Cal." "Wait till morning." Cal grabbed his coat. She said they're still there. The drive to Hollow Quarry took 10 minutes. The road wound between pines and rusted fences, the rain easing to a fine mist. Ranger sat upright in the passenger seat, every muscle alert. Cal's flashlight beam sliced the fog when they reached the old gate, a twisted chain-link fence, half collapsed. The "No trespassing" sign hung sideways. He unlatched the trunk, releasing Ranger. "Track, boy." Ranger sniffed the ground, pacing slowly, nose pressed to the wet earth. Then he barked once. Found something. Cal followed him toward the quarry's edge. Mud sucked at his boots. The faint sound of dripping water echoed from below. Ranger stopped near a pile of scrap metal. Old barrels, maybe, covered in moss and rain. His paw scratched against something wooden. Cal crouched, brushing aside wet leaves. A crate. Stain. Cracked. He pulled his flashlight closer. Inside, under a tarp, handcuffs. Torn fabric. Dry blood. A chill rippled through him. "Good work, Ranger," he murmured, but his voice felt hollow. He snapped a few photos with his phone and stood. The dog whined softly, staring at the dark pit below. Then a noise, faint but distinct, drifted up from the quarry floor. A cry. Cal froze. "You hear that?" Ranger barked once, ears perked, eyes locked downward. Cal moved to the edge, shining his light into the depths. The beam caught a rusted metal ladder, descending into darkness. He hesitated. Protocol screamed at him to call for backup, but the cry came again, weaker, more desperate. He muttered, "Stay sharp, Ranger," and began to climb down. The air below was cold, damp, and heavy with rot. Ranger moved ahead, paused silent on the rock. Cal's light brushed across abandoned machinery, old carts, graffiti-stained walls. Then he saw it, a heavy steel door, half open. Inside, the faint glint of chains. Ranger growled deep in his throat. Cal whispered, "Hold." He stepped inside. The smell hit first, sweat, mold, and fear. Then the sound, shallow breathing from somewhere behind crates. "Sheriff Marin," he called quietly. "You're safe now." Silence. Then a movement. A shadow darting across the far corner. Ranger lunged, barking once, stopping to shore the figure. Cal raised his light and froze. It wasn't a man. It was a girl, younger than Lila, her wrists raw, eyes wide and hollow. When she saw the badge, she began to cry. "They left us," she whispered. "Said they'd come back tonight." Cal's pulse spiked. "How many?" "4, maybe 5. But one," her breath hitched, "one of them's a cop." The word slammed into him like a gunshot. He stepped back, mind racing. Ranger whined softly, tail low, sensing the shift in his handler's heartbeat. Cal whispered, almost to himself, "A cop?" The girl nodded weakly. He wears a badge like yours. Cal's flashlight trembled slightly in his hand. Behind him, somewhere in the tunnels, footsteps echoed, slow, deliberate boots on concrete. Ranger growled, teeth bared. Cal turned off his light. Darkness swallowed them whole. The darkness inside the quarry tunnels felt alive, like it was breathing around them. Cal could hear his own heartbeat, slow and heavy. Ranger stood tense beside him, the faint growl in his throat rumbling like distant thunder. The girl's trembling hand clutched Cal's sleeve. "Please," she whispered, "he'll kill me if he finds us." Cal's mind raced. A cop, someone in uniform, someone who knew the system well enough to hide this for years. He glanced toward the tunnel mouth, the echo of footsteps growing louder. One set, confident, not hiding. Cal drew his gun, motioned the girl to stay low. Ranger crouched, silent, eyes burning in the dark. Then the beam of a flashlight pierced the tunnel, and a voice followed, familiar and calm. "Cal, that you down here." "Deputy Harris." Cal exhaled slowly, lowering his weapon an inch. "Jesus. Harris, what the hell are you doing here?" The light moved closer. Harris stepped into view, his badge glinting. Rain had slicked his hair against his forehead, and his smile was wrong. Too easy, too cold. "Funny," Harris said softly. "I was about to ask you the same thing." Ranger growled. Cal didn't tell him to stop this time. Harris tilted his head, eyes sliding to the girl hiding behind the crates. "So, you found one of them?" "Found her," Cal corrected. "She needs medical." Harris raised his gun. "Put the weapon down, Sheriff." Cal froze. "You're making a mistake." "No," Harris said, his voice smooth as oil. "You did. You brought her here. You were supposed to hand her over quietly, but you just couldn't help playing hero." The truth cut through Cal like a knife. He'd suspected corruption in Hollow Creek before, rumors of missing girls, unexplained cash. But Harris? The man he'd shared coffee with every morning? "Why, Harris?" Cal's voice cracked. "You wearing the same badge as me?" "Because that badge pays nothing," Harris snapped. "But they pay well. The men behind this, they own everything, Cal, even justice." Ranger barked sharply, breaking the tension for a split second. Cal used it. He moved fast, ducked, rolled, fired. The shot cracked like lightning in the tunnel. Harris stumbled, grazed, but not down. He fired back. The bullet ricocheted off the steel door, sparking against the walls. The trap girl screamed. Ranger lunged. His body hit Harris with the full force of fury and loyalty. Teeth sank into the man's arm. The gun clattered to the ground. "Harris, stop!" Cal shouted, but Harris slammed Ranger against the wall. The dog yelped, then bit harder. Cal's shot came clean this time, center mass. Harris hit the floor, eyes wide, breath rattling out like smoke. Silence filled the tunnels again, heavy, final. Ranger limped toward Cal, formatted with blood but tail wagging weakly. Cal knelt beside him, voice breaking. "Good boy, you did good." The girl sobbed quietly, rocking in the corner. "It's over." Cal looked toward the darkness ahead. The tunnels stretching into nowhere. "For you, maybe." He radioed for backup. His voice was steady now, calm but hollow. "This is Sheriff Marin. Officer down. Victims located under Hollow Quarry. Send everyone." Hours later, the place swarmed with agents, flashlights cutting through the night. They found the rest of the missing girls, huddled in side chambers. They found records, ledgers, names of officials higher than Hollow Creek could imagine. But the next morning, when the rain stopped, the town felt quieter than ever, like the storm had taken its voice. Cal sat on the station steps, head in his hands. Ranger rested beside him, bandaged, eyes half closed. Lila approached slowly, wrapped in a blanket. "They said they'll protect us now," she said softly. Cal gave a faint, tired smile. "They'll try." Lila looked at him, really looked. "You lost someone tonight." He nodded, glancing at Ranger. "Not for the first time." She hesitated, then whispered, "Thank you for coming." Cal watched her walk away with the agents. He didn't move, didn't follow. The horizon glowed pale with morning light. Ranger lifted his head, ears twitching, as if hearing something only he could. Cal spoke quietly to no one and everyone. Some stories don't end. They just go underground, waiting to be dug up again. Ranger pressed against his leg, silent, the kind of silence that meant peace, but also grief. And in that stillness, with the storm finally gone, Hollow Creek went back to sleep, pretending it had never screamed.